All right. Live on YouTube, live on Facebook. Outstanding. Do a couple of quick things here and then we will get rolling. Okay. So as you guys jump in, go ahead and let us know who is here. Jerry, good afternoon. Scott, welcome. Jay, welcome. Brian, hello, hello. Happy Halloween to all. Jay, how you doing, bud? Jay, I resent both those emails, so let me know if you received both of those. So Mr. Jake, welcome. Scott, hello, hello. Bernie, hello, brother. Okay, we're getting a few people on YouTube. We're getting a few on Facebook. Jay, perfect, good. Mr. Ben, how you doing? Logan, welcome. So, want to say thanks to all of you guys tuning in on a Halloween. Obviously, you guys aren't out trick-or-treating or pulling tricks quite yet. Or maybe you guys were just staying home until Wapiti Wednesday was over, and then you guys were going. I already took Knox, our youngest son, to one place, and my wife and the oldest son is taking him out in the neighborhood here while our daughter hands out candy next door at Grandma's house. So Eric, hello. Jack, welcome. Jerry Dixon, welcome. So, okay, so tonight's topic, first off, for those of you that are new, welcome. My name is Michael Batiste. I'm from Elk Calling Academy, and this is Wapiti Wednesday Q&A. For those of you that are new, the way Q&A works, we usually start with a subject, and then as you guys have questions, feel free to put them in the comment section. Doesn't matter if you're on Facebook or YouTube. It's kind of pretty cool because we get interaction from both sides. And as we go along, try to do the best to answer your questions as we roll along, because really this Wapiti Wednesday Q&A is all about you guys. It's all about shortening your learning curve so that you find success faster. I remember when I first started elk hunting, I didn't have anybody there to teach me. I didn't have anybody to talk to or ask questions or this or that. So it was just basically just go out, trial and error, learn by mistakes. And so basically everything I'm sharing with you guys are things that I've learned over my 30 years of chasing elk all on public land. So, that knowledge continues to grow. So if you guys are new, I saw a comment where this was their first Q&A that they made. Welcome. Glad you're here. Just please make sure if you're on the YouTube side to click that subscribe button and also click the bell so that way you're notified anytime we go live and we upload new videos. If you're on the Facebook side, please like our page and be sure to click follow also so that way you're notified as well. So, okay, we got a few comments rolling in. Let's see what we got. Greg, Wapiti Wednesday first. Welcome, Greg. Ben, I'm back. Lynn, hello. Bernie, I have candy duty so I could watch. Perfect. Bernie, I like it. Mr. Sean Keller, how you doing, bud? Brandon, good evening. Brady, what is up? Just got all the lights turned off. That way the trick-or-treaters won't be hammering on the door so we can hopefully do this uninterrupted. So Sean, what's new between the knocks? Yeah, it'd be a little hard if I kept getting, people ringing the doorbell or knocking and having to run upstairs. There'd be this little bit of gap of nothing. So, all right. So tonight's topic that we're going to start off is backcountry meat care. So, okay. We just had a question pop in over on the YouTube side. Cameron, I hate to start off topic, but looking at bino harnesses, my biggest question is, does it get in the way of shooting? I'm right-handed. Would I have an issue shooting to the left? Cameron, no. I run the Raptor system from Black Street Guide Gear, which really carries my binoculars, my cell phones on the side, my rangefinder, and then also on the front I have my pistol. And I don't have any problem with it at all, because you figure really the angle of that string and the way it's really coming up, that it doesn't get in the way of your bino harness. Now I know there are some out there that are pretty deep and really get out quite a ways from your body. So, but man, I sure love that Raptor system just because of everything that I can carry in it. So, Mr. Scott, how you doing, bud? So, okay, so the Backcountry Meat Care. So this kind of came up a couple of times in the last few days. Cameron, thanks. That's the one I'm looking at getting as well. Perfect. In fact, Cameron, if you want, on my YouTube channel, I do have a review of the Raptor system to where you can see kind of firsthand all the features. So, but the Backcountry Meat Care, the reason why I kind of decided to talk about this was I was over at my butcher this past weekend, and some of the stories that they were telling me of some of the meat that's brought to them. And I joked with them, hey, should I do a video on Backcountry Meat Care? And they all of them were very energetically saying yes and screaming yes. And then, this morning I posted on Instagram and YouTube and said, hey, what should we talk about? And somebody recommended talk about shot placement and Backcountry Meat Care. So, shot placement is one thing that's pretty difficult to talk about here, but I will do a video on shot placement, maybe where I can get a 3D target and really talk about different shot angles and kind of the anatomy of the elk and bones and all that kind of stuff. So that way, we have that good visual with that 3D target. So I will talk about shot placement. So I'm just not really going to touch much on it tonight. So Scott, hiking with young guys kicked my butt, resolved to do better next year. Can you describe what you do to stay in elk shape? Yep. So Scott, let me kind of talk about the Backcountry Meat Care a little bit, and then I'll come back to your question. So, okay, so when it comes to Backcountry Meat Care, I think really what you need to understand is the three things that can really cause meat spoilage. And that's simply it's heat, moisture, and dirt. Okay, those three things really will cause your meat to turn bad. And it's not just the outside air temperature. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the term bone sour. And what bone sour is it's internal heat that is trapped from all the meat right next to the bone. And that heat right in there kind of sours the inside of that. You can definitely tell when you have some bone sour or meat sour because the meat just doesn't smell right. So I'm a fanatic. I love the smell of hanging meat. When it's hanging in camp, I will constantly go over whenever I'm in camp and just smell that meat. There's something about that meat hanging, in your camp, in the mountains, in that cool night air that I love that smell. I constantly catch myself, but I also want to continually check my meat to make sure that it is cooling off, that it does smell okay. So, but there's a few things that you can do out in the field, even before you get back to camp, to ensure that your meat is going to be good. So obviously the first thing you want to do is get your meat cooled off as soon as possible and as quick as possible. That's getting that hide off, getting it into a position that the air can circulate around it. So, whether you hang it on branches of a tree or you find some fallen logs that you lay those quarters down, you just want to get the hide off and you want to get that meat circulating as quick as possible. And on the hind quarters, I've talked about this in the past where you'll see the knee. If you come right underneath that knee, you'll see a line on the meat. And if you just take your knife and you go on that, you're going to see this great big chunk of meat that's about that big around that's just going to fall forward from the bone. And if it's kind of cool outside, you're going to see a lot of steam escape. That's that internal heat that causes bone sour that we talk about. So, but probably one of the biggest mistakes that I see that people make is their meat gets really, really, really dirty. So, and then to clean it, they have to get water and you wash it. But you need to understand what happens with your meat. As soon as you take that hide off, if you guys noticed, that meat almost skims over. And that's a protective layer that skims over it. If you have a bunch of dirt on it or you get it too wet, that's going to interfere with that skimming process. And that's going to interfere with, your meat aging, your meat breakdown, your cooling, everything. So it's imperative to keep your meat as clean as possible. And there's a few ways you can do this. There's companies out there like 6 a.m. Outdoors that makes a really light ground cloth. They have different sizes of them. In fact, I carry one of those in my kill kit. So as soon as we get to the downed animal, we'll get everything ready. We'll get the game bags out. We'll get that ground cloth laid out. And it depends, of course, how many people you have in your party. Are you by yourself? Is there 2 of you? Is there 3 of you? It kind of changes, your approach on who's doing what on each of these. So, but we do the no mess way of cleaning. And for those of you that aren't familiar with the no mess, there is a lot of great videos that you can research. I have been asked to do a video on, a field breakdown, and I will film that next fall. But there's some really good videos out there that will show you how to do the no mess way of cleaning. I like it because 1, it's cleaner. 2, it's actually faster for getting the meat off the animal and getting that hide off the animal and getting it cooled down as quick as possible. But the biggest thing is I don't end up having to reach all the way up in there when gutting that elk out and getting blood up in the ear and up on the shoulder and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it doesn't scare me. I'm not opposed to that, but it's just, we have found that by doing the no mess way of cleaning, we can actually break down an elk and have the quarters ready to pack in about the same time that takes a lot of people to actually gut an elk, or just a little bit longer. So we're starting that cool down process a lot quicker. Now, what that ground cloth is there for is, as you take those quarters off, you can lay them on that cloth and keep it out of the dirt. So you kind of got to be careful where you're walking, because obviously, you're stepping over the animal back and forth. Your boots are kicking up dirt, kicking up dust. I mean, it happens. But some of the meat that I looked at hanging at my butcher's shop this weekend, it's almost like they took the quarters off and rolled them in the dirt, or, laid them down in the grass, or this or that. So, I just see a few people kind of commenting on game bags, and we'll kind of touch on that in a little bit here. But so usually what we'll do once we take a quarter off, like I said, we'll either lay it on that ground cloth, or if we have a tree that has good limbs, our preferred deal is to hang that quarter. Just take it right off the animal, hang it right on the tree, hang it on those branches. So that way you can really get that air circulating. But the nice thing about those hanging too, is it makes it really easy to slip your game bags on. So, and you don't have to worry about it dropping into the dirt or anything like that. So, I made the mistake one year of, we were 7 miles in, 8 miles in, and we just broke down a bull, and I'll admit we got the meat a little bit dirtier than what I like to. We got down to the creek and we decided to douse those quarters in the creek. And the mistake we made was we didn't hang the quarters and let them dry off. We immediately threw them back into game bags when they were still wet. The only problem is, that much moisture, it interferes with that skim process, and that was one of the funkiest tasting elk I think I have ever experienced. So, and it just has that problem of that excess moisture and dirt. So, and then of course the other thing is heat. A lot of our archery seasons are early, mid-August, or start end of August. So temps are kind of up there. So this is where getting that meat cooled down as quick as possible is really, really critical. It's really important. But there's a few things that you can do in the backcountry. So obviously, if you're on the northern facing slopes or northeastern facing slopes of the mountain, it's going to be a little bit cooler versus the southern face. But if you have creeks, especially creeks that are on the north or northeastern face, those are typically going to be quite a bit cooler. Now, the deal with meat is as long as it gets down below 45 degrees at night, your meat's going to be okay. But if it's not getting to 45 degrees or lower at night, you need to get that meat off the mountain and you need to get it in a cooler as soon as you can. So, and this is where another topic is, bone in versus bone out. And that means leaving the bone in on your quarters or boning out your quarters. And this is personal preference. My preference is leaving the bone in. For me personally, I think it's easier to handle, it's easier to hang, and you end up with a lot less waste. If you are one that chooses to bone out, the biggest piece of advice I can give you is don't take it off in individual muscle pieces. Okay? On those quarters, find the center of your bone, go right down the bone, and then shave that meat all the way around the bone so it's still one big piece. Because here's the thing you have to consider. As that sits in that bag, if you have all those individual muscle pieces, you cut each individual piece off. That means each individual piece is now getting that skim on 4 sides, which means now your butcher, or if you process your own, has to skim all 4 sides of that. So you actually lose a lot more meat. So if you do this where you just come down the bone and then shave around the bone and keep it in one large piece, try to keep the meat in as large of pieces as you can when you bone out. Your loss ratio is going to be a lot smaller. And this comes directly from a butcher, guys. So bone out, keep as large as possible on the pieces. So Cameron, thanks. That's the one I'm looking for. Okay. I love my Raptor system. I'm very happy with my Alaska Guide Creations bino harness. Doesn't get in the way at all. And I'm a righty. Okay, there's another option for a bino harness. The ground cloth is essential. Amen to the gutless method. Is the no mess the same as the gutless method? Michael, yes. The no mess and the gutless are exactly the same thing. So it's just different terminology for the same process. So +1 on the Alaska Guide Creations. Brady, how you doing? Had an issue with bees in Colorado this September being attracted to the meat. That is one thing, and that's what a game bag is for. A game bag is to protect your meat from bees, from flies laying eggs in it. And I usually leave my game bags on the meat during the day, but as soon as the sun goes down, those bees and those flies usually are bed. They're not out. So I will go ahead and take my game bag off and just leave that meat out in that cool nighttime air without any game bags on it. So that way it really gets that good, cool mountain air rolling over the meat. So, okay. If you guys have any questions about backcountry meat care, I know last week I posted a video about what I carry in my pack, and I've had some people ask me questions about that 1,500 cubic inch bag from Blacks Creek and how I attach the meat. This weekend, I am actually filming a video of how to use that whole system. So I have a bag from Onus Training that has gravel. It's a great training tool. I'll explain that to you guys. And I will show you, excuse me, I will show you how to attach meat onto both the grip frame and the talon frame. Excuse me, guys. So grip frame, talon frame, I'm going to attach my bag onto it. And one setup, I'm going to act like I'm archery hunting and show you how I attach my bow. And then the other one, I'm going to act like I'm rifle hunting and I'm going to attach a rifle onto all that. So you will see on both cases how I come out exactly completely hands-free with a load of meat and everything else within my pack. So Hillbilly Hebrew, what is your suggestion on synthetic game bags? I really like the 6 a.m. game bags. They're a synthetic bag. They actually have antimicrobial built into them. The ones that we field tested this year were a little bit small. The quarters fit in them, but I talked to Tristan. He's going to start making them just a little bit larger for the bone-in guys. And I should be getting a set of those. And so, in fact, when I head over to Salt Lake in February for the Western Hunting Conservation Expo, I will be hanging out with Tristan in his booth, and we're going to talk about those game bags. We're going to talk about his backcountry quilts, his backcountry sleep systems. So kind of a lot of cool things. But yeah, I really, really like the 6 a.m. And I've tested a lot of them. Another one I really like is the goat gear. So great bags that really let your meat breathe. And that's the big thing. Yes, I have tried the caribou game bags. It's been a long time since I've tried the caribou, and they just didn't breathe as well as I wanted. So, but I know Ted's done a lot of changes with the caribou game bags. I know they are a very popular bag, and a lot of people use them with great success. So I'm not going to say anything bad about the caribou. There's just other brands that I personally prefer to use instead. So, all right, Scott, can you describe what I do to stay in elk shape? I've talked about it in the past. I Hunt Fit is the program that I just started doing. The neat thing about the I Hunt Fit program is it's kind of a combination of plyometrics, of oh gosh, my mind just went blank. CrossFit, so plyometric, CrossFit. The neat thing is they have programs that it doesn't matter if you're at home or at the gym. You choose whether you want a home workout or you want a gym workout. It's about $25 for a 28-day program, so you're less than $1 a day. You never do the same exercises twice. And in fact, I strongly recommend that you guys go subscribe to the I Hunt Fit YouTube channel, because they have a lot of great videos on there. In fact, usually on Tuesdays, I do a training tip Tuesday on Instagram and Facebook, to where I share some of the workout routines that Matt and the crew is talking about. But there's a lot of options. During the wintertime, it's a little bit tougher because you're kind of confined indoors. Once the snow melts and can get outside, I'll work out 3 to 5 days a week. And then on the weekends, usually go up camping, and it's hike the mountains. And sometimes, I might take something like the Onus training bag and throw some weight on the grip frame or talon frame and just go for a hike with, that weighted pack. But do that. The key thing is to keep moving, keep going. Don't sit there and go, okay, I'm gonna take a month off. Hunting ended, I'm gonna take a month off, or I'm gonna wait until after the holidays. But then something else comes up, and then here you are, you're 30 days out from your hunt, and then you're trying to really get into shape. It does make a difference when you're out there. If you just do a little bit throughout the year, you'll be amazed how much of a difference it will make when you actually get out there to hunt. So, Scott, hopefully that kind of answered your question. Robert Gonzalez, welcome. Jack Anderson, Terry Horner, Greg, no mess equals gutless. Yes. Brady, gutless is the best. Jacob, welcome. Jeff, welcome. Jerry, Freddie, put me in, coach. Gene Briggs, welcome. Barmasters has some game bags that are the best I've used. They can be washed and reused. Yeah, there's a lot of options out there. There's Barmasters, there's Black Ovis, Caribou. I've tried a bunch of them, guys. I really have. And in fact, the Black Ovis, I used them 1 year, washed them and turned around and gave them away the next year. So, but the two that I have used the most and that I really go to are the Goat Gear, GOTE, Goat Gear game bags, and the 6 a.m., which 6 a.m. is actually, it's Roman numerals, so it's VIAM, but 6 a.m., those are the two game bags that I continually go back to. And yeah, you can wash them and continue to reuse them. So Brandon, heck yeah, I Hunt Fit as a cat's meow. Oh, you know what? Jacob, I really like I Hunt Fat. Yes, sir. So I Hunt Fit, Road to the Top. That actually just reminded me that we have another thing that we have to do tonight, and that is announce the top 3 of the I Hunt Fit elk calling contest. So we'll kind of go through some of your more of your questions, and then we'll make sure to come back to that and announce those winners. So Larry Bennett, more please. Bernie, my buddy had some game bags that felt wet and stick after it dried on your hands. Rocky, I Hunt Fit, right? No, Rocky, Jacob's talking about I Hunt Fat. There's a group that kind of joke that they're part of the I Hunt Fat team. So it's just a group, kind of a joke with, instead of I Hunt Fit, I Hunt Fat. So, and there are a few other programs out there, but I Hunt Fit is one that I strongly believe in, just because of the people that are behind it, the way the workouts are designed, and basically results that I have gotten from it. So, Jay, are you going to have a booth at the expo? I'll be there. No, I'm not. I'm not going to have a booth at Salt Lake. I am going to be bouncing around. Right now, I'm going to be in the 6 a.m. booth. I'm going to be in the Backcountry e-bikes booth. Native by Carlton, spent a little bit of time in the Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls, spent a little bit of time over at the Phelps booth. So I'm going to be bouncing around. I will be broadcasting live and kind of doing a mix of live and recordings, while I'm there. So I will try to kind of announce my schedule. So would love to meet up with as many of you as possible while I'm up there. Okay. Logan. Ooh, this is a good one, a long one. Okay, question. In your experience, I was hunting public land for opening day for rifle for elk up here in Alberta. We saw a herd on private land and a bull got shot out of the herd in the area. I went and got permission and walked part of the area about 2 days later and only seen one cow. Would elk just leave the area because they have been shot at, or go down and hide in deep timber and only come out at night or early morning, late evening? Yeah, they're not dumb. They know what that rifle shot represents. So as soon as they hear that shot, they're going to dive off into deep holes. They're going to disappear, and it's going to be the biggest game of hide and go seek that you've ever seen. So they also know in their area where their safe zones are. They know where they can go to get away. I mean, especially, if it's a bull that's been around for, 4, 5, 6 years, they know where it's safe. So does that lead cow. They know where to go and hide to kind of protect everybody. And it could be, private ground. It could be a deep, dark hole that nobody wants to go down into. It may be go up over the top and drop down into another drainage that somebody's got to go a long ways and have a lot of elevation to get in there. But as soon as they start hearing those first shots, there's a pretty good chance that they're going to hightail it out of there and go into a safe zone. So, Sean, have you ever heard of people using PAM cooking spray on their meat to keep the flies and bees off? I haven't heard of the PAM, but I have heard things like pepper. Pepper can keep flies and bees off. And the other thing with the pepper too is that people claim that it seasons the meat. I know there's a couple of companies out there that make what's called a liquid game bag, which you can actually just pour it on the meat and then it kind of forms this protective shell. I've never tried it. I don't know. I'm not sure about it. I think it would, in my mind, it would seem like that would interfere with that cool air getting on that meat and cooling it down. So, but no, I haven't tried the PAM cooking spray. So if any of you guys have tried the PAM, would love to hear. Jay, let's meet up. You bet. Greg, all dang sure see you there. Perfect. They almost smelled medicine from Mountain Rocky Elk Foundation. Do you know what they are? No, Bernie, I don't. From the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. Yeah, I'm not sure. Brian Padilla, welcome. Lance, hello. Okay, over on YouTube. For the past 3 years, I plan to start getting fit by hiking, exercising, etc. all year. For the past 3 years, let's just say I'm the same shape I was 3 years ago. As I'm nearing 50, it's time I get serious about it. So, Michael, I'm right there with you. I'm 48. I turn 49 next year. It seems like with each passing year, it gets harder and harder and harder up there in the mountains, and definitely have to, prepare a lot more. And I'm not talking that you have to go to the gym or you have to work out like a maniac. The biggest thing that you guys want to do when you're getting in shape for season is muscle endurance is the biggest thing you want to focus on. So that's where a lot of people fail. They could have great cardiovascular, but if they don't have the muscle endurance, and the way you build endurance is light to mid weights and more reps. But that endurance is what I have found over here. So kind of a good combination is muscle endurance with a good cardiovascular. Those two together will really, really make a difference. So Scott replied to Bernie, I had some like that from Cabela's. They are wet and sticky, supposed to be antimicrobial and antibacterial. I know the 6 a.m. bags, they have some that just came out that are antimicrobial. I haven't seen them yet. So the ones I used of theirs this year were not the antimicrobial. So, but yeah, I'll have to do a little bit of research and see if I can get my hands on some of those and let you guys know. So Jerry Dixon said chili powder works good on the meat. Okay, so there you go. If you're looking for something other than game bags. So Ryan Clark, after you take off hindquarters, you can carefully reach in and take out the tenderloin. Did I miss something on Ryan Clark about? Oh, yep. Michael, how are you getting your tenderloins out when doing the gutless method? So Ryan, yeah, Jerry's exactly right. What you do is you can go on the back and you just make a slit right below the backbone, and you can actually reach your hand in there on the tenderloins. You can kind of massage most of them out with your hand, and you only have to cut the two ends, and you can actually reach both tenderloins from the one side. And a lot of times, as soon as we get the quarters off that first side, I'll dive in and take those tenderloins out before that stomach cavity really starts blowing up with gases. So it also helps to alleviate some of that gas buildup a little bit too. But like I said, just Google gutless method or no mess. Like I said, there's some really, really good videos out there that will show you and show you how you can get all of those pieces out, including the tenderloins. So Benito, can you share tips on breaking down a bull and getting it ready to pack out solo, please? I'll be hunting solo in Central Arizona, Unit 23, late archery this year. So Benito, that's where the kind of, it comes in, that bone in versus bone out. Now, obviously, leaving the bone in, you're going to have more weight to pack because now you're packing the weight of those bones. So, but your hunt is late enough that the temperatures should be cool enough that, if you get those quarters hung in a tree or even elevated, put them on a couple of down logs and elevate them so that you can constantly get that air circulating. It's not as critical to get them out that fast. You can take your time. It's probably going to take you 4 trips, maybe 5 trips to get a bull out by yourself, or that's with bone in, or you can, bone it out, kind of reduce some of the weight because you're removing all that bone weight, which means you're packing more meat weight. You can cut it down to maybe 3 trips, but it's personal preference on whether you want to bone out or bone in. Like I said, I prefer bone in just because I found that it's easier to, hang, to put into your pack, carry it around, maneuver it. So it's just, it gives you something else to hang on to. So, Jacob, how much weight are the quarter bones? Those leg bones, I mean, you could be talking 25, 30 pounds on those. So, depending on the size of the bull or even the size of the cow. So, they're a little bit heavier than what you think. So again, it's just all personal preference. I know I have, quite a few buddies that they swear by bone out, and we get in that discussion all the time, bone in, bone out. I haven't done bone out a ton, just because, like I said, I guess I'm kind of stuck in my ways. But so, Brady, this is a great topic tonight. Thank you. Eric Wilson, on a frontal shot, would you take the tenderloins? Eric, wow, I think you're talking about a specific elk this year, and it could be that one hanging right there. And because of the frontal shot, I didn't go in and get the tenderloins. So the frontal shot, you take out every major organ, and you also, if your arrow penetrates enough, you will punch the stomach. So then all that stomach cavity is filled with the stomach acids, and the bile and all that stuff is getting on those tenderloins, which the acid and the bile, that's just going to ruin meat so fast. So no, I did not choose to go in after the tenderloins. I have taken other bulls with the frontal shot where I have gone in and got the tenderloins. The only reason I didn't do it on this guy is because what was rolling out of his nose and his mouth, and I could only imagine what that cavity was like. So I made the decision not to go in there just because of all that bile. And if you don't get all that acid and bile off, and then you put those in with the rest of your loose meat, you are really running the risk of that bile and those acids ruining all the meat that's in that loose meat bag. So, and in fact, when I carry game bags, I normally carry 6 bags. I have my 4 quarter bags, and then I have 2 loose meat bags. The 2 loose meat bags, I break everything as per half. So in one of them goes the backstrap, tenderloin, neck meat, and rib meat, all from one side. And then when we flip that elk over, then I use the other loose meat bag to put all the loose meat in that. In actuality, when you're packing out, if you take the front quarter and that loose meat bag, it ends up about the same weight as a hind quarter. So everybody's kind of packing the same amount of weight there. So Eric, yeah, thanks for bringing that question up, buddy. So, all right, Shane, I take my hunting pack with me to the gym and put weights inside. I use it to hike the foothills. Absolutely 100% good idea. So, and in fact, for those of you guys that don't do a lot of training during the summer with your pack on, kind of curious, how many of you about 3 or 4 days in the season notice that your traps all of a sudden are really sore from the pack riding on it, because now all of a sudden you have that weight on it? How many of you ever experienced that, where even you don't have to put a ton of weight, but just wearing that pack, I mean, even putting the pack on with a little bit of weight when you go out to mow your yard will get your shoulders conditioned for the season. So Shane, we need more hunting expos in Boise. I agree. I think Boise is a great environment. There's a ton of outdoor enthusiasts. I don't know if you went to the show that they had in Nampa in June. That was a pretty dang good show, and sounds like that's going to become an annual event and grow. So, all right. What other questions do you guys have on backcountry meat care, or even just questions in general? So while you guys are putting those in, a couple of things coming up. So this Friday's video is going to be the video on decoys and scents. So decoy and scents, it's the decoys that I use, how I use them, same thing with the tract and scents. So that's going to go this Friday. I also have partnered with Blacks Creek Guide Gear to do kind of a tutorial series on their packs. The first one is the knick-knack sacks. Good detail about the knick-knack sacks, how to attach them, what they're for, advantages, disadvantages. But we're going to start doing a series on the Blacks Creek and just kind of really showcase a lot of the features, you know, within those packs. So Pam Spray, Works for flying insects, just slippery and sticky. Yeah, I could kind of see that. I got a new pack this year and experienced that. Okay, the traps. Brian Rochelle, how you doing, buddy? I walk around the high school track first with my pack and then go to the mountain trails for conditioning. Absolutely. It gets those shoulders in shape. So I actually feel that shoulder pain about day 2. So this all stems from not getting your shoulder. I mean, we're working out, we're working on our muscles, we're working on our cardiovascular, we're shooting our bow, getting up, all used to that. But we always ignore putting that pack on. And like I said, you can put that pack on, you can put just a little bit of weight in it, even if you have a gallon jug that you put water in, throw it in the freezer, let it freeze, and then throw that in your pack. Put that on while you're mowing the yard. Then you have something to drink while you're mowing the yard, but also while you're shooting that bow too. Get used to that pack. Know how those straps are going to affect your draw. Just get used to it. Practice shooting your bow the way that you're going to hunt. Now, whether you're pack on, pack off, or this or that. But about a month before the season, if you just start putting the pack on and walking around your neighborhood or mowing your yard or just different stuff like that, you'll be amazed that once season starts that you don't experience that trap pain. So any tips for keeping meat bees away? A buddy of mine got stung several times this year, or last year. So really with the meat bees, I mean, it's try to get the game bag on that meat as quick as possible. So, and cinch it down so they can't get in there. They're still going to be on the outside. I mean, the chances of getting stung, I mean, it happens. So I've been zapped here and there before. It's just all part of the beast. It's part of the game. But kind of some subjects that were talked about earlier were pepper, cayenne pepper, different things like that. So Jake just brought up that I think he meant 3D shoots. There we go. 3D shoots are great for conditioning. They are. Put that pack on. Put a little bit of weight in it while you're shooting those 3D courses. So Matt, thanks for all the good info, like always. You bet. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, if you aren't close to the mountains, then pack and stairs at the high school football stadium is a great workout. Absolutely. There's always high school stadiums that are around or some bleachers. So, hiking up and down bleachers, it may seem monotonous, but you'll be amazed at how much it helps. So especially with your hip flexors, by raising, the leg and doing that elevated step, that's going to help your hip flexors. Also, you'll really notice the difference if you're into a lot of blowdowns and stepping over. So those of you that are in blowdowns and you're stepping over and you really start feeling that pain in your hips, those are your hip flexors. The way you can train those is by stepping up on elevated positions, whether it's, a block, going up steps, things like that. So, all right. Brian, thoughts on putting quarters in a creek when you kill one the first day on a multi-day hunt, early September? Should we take hide off first? Yeah, Brian, that's a thing there that I kind of talked about. One year we did that. We dunked quarters in the creek, and it really messed with that skim, that curing process of that meat. I would much rather take a bunch of sticks and build a meat cache up over the creek and lay that meat in the shade over that creek so that cool air can really get around it. Earlier on, I said, as long as the temps are getting below 45 degrees at night, you're going to be okay for several days. So, but if it's not getting to 45 or below, you may want to make a fast dash out of there and get that meat into a meat locker as soon as possible to ensure that meat doesn't sour on you. So, I haven't had that issue with the XO pack. It's very comfortable. So, okay, Logan, used my new frame backpack the first time in the field before testing it. Definitely won't ever do that again. There were some kinks I had to work out and adjustments had to be made for sure. Yeah, that's the key right there, is making sure proper fit on the pack. So, you definitely want to try things before you go out. So in the field is not a place to test anything like pack or boots or any of that stuff. You're just really asking for a lot of problems. So meat prep for starting pack out when it's early morning and getting hotter. That's why I really like hunting with three. So because three people can bring an elk out in one trip pretty easy. And that's the key, getting that off the mountain. Now, I know the struggles of trying to find hunting partners, and not only hunting partners, but hunting partners that you mesh well with, that you trust, and all that kind of stuff can be really, really tough. If you're by yourself and, it is the first of the season, you might want to consider boning it out because, like I said, you're eliminating that weight of the bone. You're packing out less, and you can probably get that elk off as fast as possible. These are all things that need to be calculated, guys, when you're out hunting. We see it all over social media today. It's, man, we hiked 10 miles today. Man, we hiked 15 miles today. Man, we went 8 miles back in. Okay, 8 miles back in at the start of the season when it's getting 90 degrees. Are you going to be able to get that meat out in those temps fast enough to ensure that you're not going to lose any meat? These are all things you need to calculate when chasing. Now, I'm all for going in 8 miles. I'm all for going in, backcountry. I've done it for years, but you need to calculate these things. And I think this is one thing where, we kind of talked about this on a while ago, is mistakes that new hunters make. And I think it's kind of that unreal expectations. Somebody that's never put an elk on the ground, that has never really packed an animal out, they don't really know the pain and torture that you're about to go through. And we've all been there. You've got an elk on the ground, you've quartered it, you start packing, and in the middle of the pack, it is the worst experience of your life. You think that you're just not going to make it. It's just, oh my gosh, this is I've gone into purgatory. What the heck was I thinking? But how many of you guys, most of the time, once you finally get back to the truck and you get that pack off, you're like, whew, man, that really wasn't as bad as I thought. Yeah, I'd go back in that area and hunt. There's only 2 areas that I have ever packed an elk out that I said, that's it, I'm never going back in there again. So, but yeah, while you're in it, so I think sometimes it's that unreal expectation because, backcountry hunting is becoming more and more popular, that people want to go deeper. They want to go back in. But like I said, they have those unreal expectations that they don't know how much work it's going to take to get that out, especially with the weather. Because guys, we're working our butt off. So why not try to protect as much meat as possible? Put as much meat in that freezer as possible so that you can feed your family all throughout the year. And I can guarantee every time you sit down to a meal, you're going to relive this hunt. You're going to relive everything about it. The interaction with the elk, the harvesting, the breaking down. You're especially going to remember the pack out. So, but why not put as much in the freezer as you possibly can? So, I love the mental and physical challenge of solo backcountry hunts. Solo hunts, Brandon, I agree. It is a challenge, especially on a multi-day solo hunt. You don't have anybody to talk to. You don't have anybody to bounce ideas off of. It's just you. And it really tests your mental fortitude, and also how much of a desire and a fire do you have burning in your gut. But you get it done solo, the level of reward and excitement that you feel is just phenomenal. So I completely agree where you're coming from. I used to really, really enjoy the solo time. As I've kind of gotten a little older, I kind of like that camaraderie. But I also really, really enjoy seeing the success of my hunting partners. That's one thing that just really, really brings me, a lot of joy. Seeing their excitement, being a part of that. And I think that's kind of how we evolve as hunters as we kind of grow and our success level, rises. We just kind of evolve a little bit. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. GC, it's painful. I got to pick up the wife and grandkids. Brother, thanks as always. Great job tonight. Bernie, thanks for tuning in tonight, buddy. Sean, man, I think I've had 300 kids, missed half the show. Well, Sean, you could always just stick the bowl out front with a sign that says, just take one, please. So, Josh, welcome. Brandon, I did 6 days solo backpacking, and the mental part was the hardest part by far. It is. The mental aspect of a solo backpacking hunt is way harder than the physical will ever be, because you can prepare your body physically for that hunt. But how do you prepare your mind? How do you prepare your mind for 6 days in the backcountry without a single person around? It's tough. It's really, really tough to prepare for. So, but like I said, man, you get it done on a hunt like that, the experience and in the gratification that you're going to feel is just tremendous. So, all right, YouTube, we got a bunch popped in here. Okay, I use the 70 and 40 degree rule. If it gets above 70 during the day and not below 40 at night, then the meat has to be put on ice ASAP. Is that a good rule to follow? Jerry, that's an excellent rule to follow. Over 70 degrees during the day and under 40 at night. Because that's, like I said, if you get 45 degrees or below at night, that meat is going to cool enough, especially if you have it in the shade during the day. It's going to stay cold enough that you're going to be okay. But yeah, that 70-day, 40 night is a great rule. So, Michael, that's something I've never considered. I'm highly allergic to bees. Time to start packing EpiPen. Absolutely. In fact, an EpiPen should be part of your backcountry first aid kit. So, and in fact, that backcountry, it's not even backcountry, just a field kit that you have, because you never know what's going to happen. Broadhead, an arrow can fall out of the quiver. That broadhead, you can be, breaking down an animal, slice yourself. That's why some sort of first aid kit. And in fact, I found a new kind of Band-Aid cut and closure system that I have some ordered. As soon as they come in, we're going to kind of talk about them. They're fairly new to the market, but they are really, really cool. So, Jerry stung 3 times this September. Yep. Hillbilly Michael, are there plans for off-season scouting trips, trail cams, etc.? Yeah, actually, Hillbilly, as soon as the snow melts. In fact, I was talking to my hunting partners about this, because now we're at that time that we have to wait 6 months until the snow really comes off the high country and we can get in there. Usually June is end of June. 1st of July is when we'll really start getting in there, trying to get trail cameras out and let those trail cameras do a lot of scouting for us. But a lot of times during the summer too, we're always exploring. We're exploring roads up in the area, trails up in the area. Where are they taking us? How can we get in and out of areas better, more efficient, find better ways into the areas that the wind is more in our favor. So constantly scouting, constantly learning the area. 1, it helps you during season. 2, it's because I just love spending time out there. But 3 is the efficiency that you have once you really, really learn the ins and outs of your area. You learn a lot more about elk behavior and elk habits, because then once you really learn that area, then you can go in there scouting and get on elevated positions with binos or spotting scopes and just glass. Let your eyes do the work for you. You don't have to go in there and traipse all around your hunting area all during the summer. In fact, when I run trail cameras, I usually leave my trail cameras and only go in every 2 to 3 weeks to swap the cards out. And it's in, swap the cards, and then get back out. So yeah, definitely off season is a critical time. So GC can't prepare the experiences you're training on the go. Absolutely. Robert, always remember, if the body is beaten, the mind can make it go. If the mind is beaten, all is lost. Absolutely. Your body will give out long before your mind will. So that's where that whole mental fortitude, mental toughness, and mental strength comes in. Yes, add crazy glue to the kit. Crazy glue and duct tape are 2 things that I used to always have in my field kit. So you can do a lot with crazy glue and duct tape, but this new Band-Aid I'm going to show you guys is going to replace the crazy glue. All right, Benito. Tire drags have seemed to replicate the 20-degree incline pretty well for me this off season. Another good exercise right there. Dry bags filled with sand in pack worked better for me than milk jugs filled with water. Yeah, Charles, if you're going to do water, or if any of you guys are going to do water, put it in the freezer. Get it solid. You don't want that water sloshing around. It just makes it harder and harder. So, but yeah, if you can do dry bags with sand or gravel, and that's where this Onus training, make bags specifically for that. They have two different sizes. One, you can get up to 50 pounds. The other, you can get all the way up to 100 pounds. And I'm going to showcase those on the video when showing you how to load meat onto the Blacks Creek system. So Ryan Clark, I bought a used pack. What is proper fit? Not sure it's fitting me correctly. Okay, biggest thing with the pack is you want your hip belt to be up on the top of your hip. So if you take your thumbs and you put them on the sides and you feel the top of your hip bones, you want the top of those hip bones to hit about halfway on your hip belt. So, because if it's riding there, and if the pack has load lifter straps, the advantage of load lifter straps is the load lifters actually determine where that load is sitting, whether it's sitting right on your hips, or if you really pull those load lifter straps down, then it's riding up on your shoulders, or you can release them a little bit so it rides on your shoulders and on your hips at the same time. That's why if you're looking for packs to haul meat with, make sure they have load lifting straps, because those load lifting straps are critical for changing where that load rides, whether it's shoulders or hips or both. So, but that should hopefully help you about where that should ride. So, Jerry, we actually take a deep freeze that we can keep locked on our trailer that has ice in it after the kill if the weather is too hot. We have the freezer for another solution. Yeah, actually, we've talked about that too. Getting a small little deep freeze in a generator and keeping it in an enclosed trailer. Crank that generator up, get that thing cool. We've done it a lot out in the desert antelope hunting. We've taken a little 3 cubic foot freezer out there. As soon as we got to camp, fired up the generator, got that thing. The 3 cubic foot, the 3 cubic foot freezer will fit 3 antelope quartered out really easy. So, but there's a lot of things you can do. The big coolers on the market with, ice. So there are options that you can do to cool that meat down quickly. So Jerry, great topic and tips tonight, Michael. Thank you for tuning in. Brady, excellent job again. I got to run. Brady, thanks for tuning in, and thank you for the compliment, bud. John Oliver, one thing I want to say about being fit for elk hunting is to stretch out before you go out every day. I found out the hard way. Stretching is good. In fact, guys, kind of put your pride aside. Don't be afraid to do yoga. Yoga actually does help with longevity of the muscles, stretching them out. Yoga is a good thing to do. So having proper first aid training and knowledge is as important as any other training you can do. I bet Dave Brinker would agree. And Jerry Dave is actually who I was talking to or had in mind when I talked about the arrow falling out. Crazy things can happen. And there we go. Zip stitches seem to be becoming a popular choice. Jerry, the zip stitches are actually what I'm referring to. So when those come in, I'm actually going to show those. For those of you guys, just do a Google search for zip stitches and check them out. I can guarantee once you watch the videos on how those work, you're going to have them in your pack. So, okay, I hurt my calf so bad. I've seen it on MRI, but I was able to call in a bull just before I got hurt. Ouch. Bad choice of words. I meant, are you going to do how-to video on scouting? Yes, I will. So, and in fact, when I'm up scouting, we'll do a whole video kind of, what I look for, where I place my trail cameras, all that kind of stuff. So, LOL, don't forget top 3 calling. Yes. GC, time flying, Michael, maybe a Wapiti Thursday encore. Great topic. I know we're approaching the hour. So, okay, let's do this. So I talked about it a little bit last week. iHunt Fit did an internal elk calling contest for their members. These members sent me videos And then I kind of scored them and placed them in the top 3. I don't know what the prizes are. That's all within I Hunt Fit. So, but we have the top 3 are: first place is Jason Eastwood. Second place is Brandon Nilly, Niley, Nily. And third place was Brad Lowry. So congratulations to you 3. You are the top 3 in the I Hunt Fit elk calling contest. So again, first place, Jason Eastwood. Second, Brandon Niley. And third place, Brad Lowry. So appreciate you guys sending those to me. If any of you guys want feedback on the calling, feel free to shoot me a message. So in fact, I may respond to each of your guys' messages kind of with things I heard, maybe some suggestions on things to work on if you guys are okay with that. So Jason O'Hare, always great stuff. Hey, appreciate tuning in. All right, let's go ahead and kind of go through these one more time, see what else we got. Robert, carrying ace bandage or 2, multiple uses. Absolutely. Amy, will you shoot me a way to catch your GPS if possible after your Wednesday shows? EPS? Oh, episodes. So yes, Amy and Tim, I can actually shoot you a link over to the YouTube channel to where you could subscribe and has, a lot of these videos. So Greg, I appreciate with judging. Thanks, buddy. Greg, not a problem. I'm humbled and honored that you guys would come to me and ask me and want me to be a part of your contest. So thank you very much. It means a lot to me, and I'm absolutely humbled. Brandon, awesome. Thanks, and congrats to the other winners. Feedback would be great. I would appreciate it. So yeah, Brandon, probably won't get to it tonight, but here in the next day or two, I'll respond to everybody's emails and just kind of, let you know what I heard and kind of, like I said, maybe some tips of some things to work on. So, all right, guys. So Friday, Decoys and Scents videos will be live at 6:00 on Friday. Again, I appreciate each and every one of you. You guys really make this a lot of fun. And yeah, it seems like the last few episodes with the engagement on both the Facebook and the YouTube page, the questions, the comments, it's really, really been a lot of fun. And it seems like these hours just fly by. So, but we are going to wrap it up for tonight. As always, guys, thanks for tuning in. As always, keep calling, keep practicing, but most importantly, have fun. And we will see you guys next week on the next episode of Wapiti Wednesday Q&A. Have a great rest of your week and have a great weekend, guys. Thank you.